Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. This is Simon with AvaTrade. Welcome to our weekly webinar, Mapping Out Your Week Ahead. And as usual, this special welcoming goes to new people. And for you, I'll explaining towards what's the focus of this webinar. And for that, the best tool is to use the quote of the traders when they say you plan your trade and then you trade your plan. And it's simple. We create a structure, we remove chaos from our trading. And of course, there's no guarantee, but in anything that we spend a little bit of time planning, we have better chances to succeed, especially in trading. Few things about myself. My name is Simon Friedman. I'm a senior account manager with AvaTrade. I started my trading career in New York City as a prop trader in June of 2000. And I did it for about 11 years, and then I moved on and started to mentor and educate others. And I'm very happy I have this great opportunity to be assisting our customers at AvaTrade. So what exactly we do here? As usual, we'll go through indices, stocks, commodities, and Forex. We'll go through screenshots of some articles. Today it's going to be all about, I was just trying to find some good articles, and it's all over the place. Supreme Court decision against the tariffs of Trump. So we'll go through those things. Then we'll take a look at economic calendar. We'll take a look at winners and losers for the week. There's a big list there. And then we'll switch to the trading platform, and we'll try to look at the instruments and markets through the technical perspective and try to make sense of it. That's it pretty much. Before we start, risk disclosure. What we do here is purely educational. You can find a full risk statement at avatrade.com. Social media channels, of course, we would love to see you following us on Telegram, X, and YouTube. As I always say, YouTube is my favorite. You have a huge collection of educational materials, tutorials, webinars, and so on. So please subscribe, click on that bell. You'll be notified on new things coming in. If you like it, don't forget to like. Just takes you a second, and it helps more people to watch these webinars. All right, so Supreme Court, right? It was on Friday. I was watching the market when the core expenditure numbers came. Market reacted in a negative way, and then it was announced, I think an hour into the market open, it was announced that the Supreme Court, that's right here, ruling has economists even more stressed than worsening the US debt. So it creates a lot of, initial, it was a positive thing. The market moved higher, and we'll take a look at the charts, how it happened, but it's a lot and all over the place. So let's just read a few of these things, the key points which I like. You don't need to go through the whole article. The Supreme Court struck down most of President Trump's tariffs, raising concern about federal debt and requiring over 150 billion in refunds. The federal deficit is projected to exceed 1.85 trillion this fiscal year, with debt rising from 100% to 120% of GDP by 2036. That's 10 years from now. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated new tariffs would maintain revenue, but economists remain skeptical, expecting a higher deficit. Here's another one. The Supreme Court rejects Trump's tariffs. The president is already rolling out new ones. So here's the new thing, right? Trump announced a new 10% global tariffs after the ruling, and subsequently raising them to 15%. This guy just doing whatever he wants. The US Supreme Court ruled, okay, we read that, Trump called the decision disappointing, stating he will impose a 10% global tariffs and then open new probes. He subsequently raised the duties to 15%. The ruling created economic uncertainty, but the S&P 500 index and consumer discretionary stocks climbed. Here's another one. What a fiasco. Trump's tariffs are economic and legal mess. The Supreme Court ruled, okay, the decision created significant uncertainty for import-dependent businesses and could require the government to return up to 175 billion in tariff revenue. The U.S. Constitution explicitly vests the power to impose tariffs in Congress, not the president. All right, and here's the last one. Will American companies get tariffs refunds after Supreme Court decision? What we know so far. And it says right here again, the Supreme Court ruling did not address refunds for collected tariffs, estimated to be between 100 billion and 170 billion. Experts predict a chaotic, lengthy, and uneven process for tariff refunds, with smaller businesses likely facing more challenges. All right, so tariffs. I guess we'll find out more. We'll see more reactions of the market to it. Let's see how things will work out this week. Now, the picture of the Feds. March 18 is the next interest rate decision. As you see, the probability of the interest rate cut has been shrinking. 16% a month ago, 9%, 3.5%, with 3.5% probability, almost none of the cut in the upcoming meeting in March. Economic calendar. Now, before I go into the details here, just to explain to people that are not familiar with it, this is public info. You can access it through the app or web trader or just Google it. And I think every trader should know these things ahead of time. That's why I bring it up on Sunday before the trading week starts, so we can know what to expect as far as the economic calendar announcements. So here I just take out the high impact events. Otherwise, the list is large. You can choose whatever's relevant to you, filter through it, and pick and choose whatever works for your trading. The times here are GMT. So let's just go through this. Retail sales Sunday from New Zealand. ECB Lagarde, the Christine Lagarde, the president of European Central Bank. She's speaking on Monday. Again, she's been speaking a lot. We spoke about it a few times, right? Wednesday, Consumer Price Index, inflation numbers from Australia. President Trump speaking in front of the Union. That's the big speech. That's on Wednesday. I mean, we all know it's going to be all about how we did great and how the previous administration didn't. So get some popcorn. Again, I'm not judging or doing, I'm just being sarcastic here. So Trump speaking on Wednesday. The governor of Bank of Australia speaking on Wednesday. Going to Thursday, another speech by Lagarde. Like I said, she speaks a lot. Inflation numbers from Japan. Let's see how that will be affecting, first of all, the currency, which is Japanese yen, right? Moving to Friday, GDP numbers from Switzerland, inflation numbers from Germany, GDP from Canada, and important number from the States. PPI or Producer Price Index numbers from the US. All right, so these are the things in the economic calendar, something to watch. All right, winners and losers. Later on, when we get to the charts, we'll go through them one by one. Let's just run the numbers so you could see the winners. On top of the winners, you have the energy, and I think it's all related to the cold weather in the US and everywhere else, and also there's a situation building up, getting more intense day by day in the Middle East. We all know it's about Iran. So heating oil up 8.9%, crude oil 583, silver was up 562, wheat bounced nicely 483, platinum 476, gasoline and other energy up 4.5%, palladium 4.5%, sugar finally bounced a little bit 282, and cotton 234. On the downside, cocoa is sliding, it's falling really rapidly. We'll take a look at the chart. Coffee continues down also. 4.22, and Bitcoin down almost 1.5%. These are all futures, just to be clear. All right. So let's bring up the charts, and as we said, we'll start with indices. We'll start with China. Here, a lot of actions here. We are trading above 200-day moving average, but below 50 and 100. So from the recent swing, we're kind of in the middle. So this was the recent low. This was the recent high. As you see clearly, we're making lower highs and lower lows, and we're trying to stabilize around here. So let's see how that will work out. Japan, the Nikkei holding very strong. We here had a jump on the February 6th. Since then, we're really consolidating at the top of this large candle. Technically, we could be preparing for continuation to the upside, and of course, for that we would need to break the recent high around 58,460s. So this is the Japanese yen. I'm going to jump to Europeans because both UK and the French index showed us all-time highs, which is very interesting. Here we go. UK FTSE, unstoppable. From this drop back in April, I think this was the big beautiful bill, if I'm not mistaken, by Trump. Since then, we've been skyrocketing here. French index, with all the zigzagging and all the troubles that we spoke about and all the troubles that they have in the government and economy. Take a look, we just broke through the trend line and we are at all-time highs on the French index here. How beautiful is that? Now, is it justifiable? I think I give up on finding justifications and reasons. Market is just doing things on its own, and we just broke through the trend line, all-time high on French. So sorry for jumping to Europe. Now going back to US, here we go. Friday was a big day. I guess that court's decision against tariffs helped. We had a nice move to the upside, closing at the highs. And on the weekly chart, we had actually a positive week. This is the S&Ps. The question is, what's next? And I just want to show you the dynamics on the market. This was moved to the downside when we had the inflation numbers from the States, and then we moved higher on the court decision, and then we actually stayed and closed at the high. This is the S&Ps. Again, nice positive week. NASDAQ as well reacted, bounced off the 200-day moving average here. And Dow Jones actually didn't have that strong move to the upside. We actually finished Friday in red. We did bounce off the 50-day moving average though. And on the weekly chart, it's the second consecutive red week. So Dow Jones is kind of going against the stream. So these are the indices. Again, we had both UK and French indices establishing all-time highs. S&Ps and NASDAQ had a nice run. Dow Jones remained behind. Moving to stocks. Just go through the big boys, as I call them. Apple, see the weekly chart. Apple, green week here. Amazon, after selling for 2 consecutive weeks, we had a nice bounce this week. Microsoft, not so much. As you could see, Microsoft is not bouncing at all. What does it tell us? That if the market will show weakness, we might actually continue sliding until we find some kind of support. It could be a 200-day moving average here. it could be the low of April 6th. As you can see, this is the weekly chart. We've been sliding, making weekly lows and highs lower, right? So you could see since that gap, we've been sliding lower. Google has been the champion, and then after recent selling, we kind of stopped right here on the 100-day moving average here, and Friday we had a nice bounce. Meta, also after the gap on earnings, we've been sliding lower, closing the gap, moving lower, and this week Meta is looking stronger. We're still having troubles breaking through 50-day moving average here. Tesla, trading above 50-day moving average, trading above 382, strong support here. The recent low was here 387.37. We're holding somewhere in the mid-range between the recent high and the recent low, right? Exactly in the middle here between the low of 387, the top of 436. We're at 411 now. Now, important to understand the geopolitical situation. We spoke about Iran, right? So if oil and other energies are up, a trader could connect it to the stocks as ExxonMobil, which had a nice run here, we're correcting a little bit here, and Chevron. Chevron looks much stronger. I mean, the whole move started with all the Venezuela capturing with Maduro and U.S. getting involved with managing the oil there, you could say that. So we had a nice run to the upside. Chevron is holding nicely. Exxon is correcting a little bit more. So those two to watch. We are on the edge of the war. That's what they tell us. A lot of power has been brought to Middle East by the U.S. And there's ultimatum after ultimatum. So far, we didn't see any actions, and it's getting intense. Let's put it that way. So that's on the oil and energies. Now let's take a look what NVIDIA is doing. Oh, by the way, prepared for you something that I don't think we ever spoke about. You know, as things are getting intense and a lot of weapons are being sold, look at this stock, Lockheed Martin. They do Air Force and defense and other things to do with airplanes and space and other things. Take a look at this move. Started in December from 450 to 650. 50% move in 3 months, right? December, January, and we're almost finished. Less than 3 months, 50% move. Lockheed Martin. I don't know if anybody's trading that. Just to bring it up, take a look. Beautiful move. Small corrections and continuation to the upside. Now, I'm meant to show you the NVIDIA stock. As we know, AI is still in business. Here we go. We're still trading in this channel. On the weekly chart, it looks much better here. So we're trading between 170 and 193, kind of 170s and 190s. We did break through it back in October. November, we came right back. And since then, we're having a hard time breaking the resistance, but we're also not falling below the support of 170. So that's NVIDIA. Now, banks, as we said, it's important to watch banks because big moves happened. And whenever the big moves happen, sometimes banks are triggering it. So here it is, JP Morgan, after having a hard time breaking at 325 here, beginning of this month, we've been sliding, came exactly to 200-day moving average, and this whole week, we've been bouncing to the upside, recovering maybe visually about 40% of that fall, facing resistance at 100-day moving average. Goldman Sachs, we We sold here on February 12th. Since then, we tried to move higher here. We're having a trouble or struggle here on 50-day moving average here, trading at 920 currently. Bank of America is not that strong. After the recent fall, we're trading kind of in the lower third of this move, below 100-day moving average as well. And the Citigroup also recovered about 40% of this fall and also struggling with the 50-day moving average. So we'll be watching banks as well and see how they reflect on what's happening around. All right, moving to commodities, and we'll go through the list of winners and losers. We'll start with heating oil. Take a look after a nice consolidation here. The second half of the week, we had a nice move to the upside. Heating oil up 8.9%. Friday, we had a nice some profit taking after a higher high here. Crude oil. Let's see the weekly chart, how it looks. Crude oil has been sliding a lot, right? Till we came to beginning of January. And since then, we've been running higher. We just broke on the weekly chart going back. We just broke a 50-week moving average here after holding above it. A nice move this week. It was very, very strong. Here, obviously, we are holding the 200-day moving average here, and we are trying to break the previous high here from January 29th. We need a closure. Take a look how beautiful that is. That's the level previously touched on September 26th. Then we came almost to the penny on January 29th. And now we are trying to break that level. And of course, hypothetically, again, nobody likes the wars, right? And I hope we don't have any wars ever again. But in case things getting hot in Iran, and as you know, Iran is a huge producer of oil, we might see actually oil jumping from here. And if you look at it, some traders could find actually cup and holder, like this is being a huge cup and the holder. So we could see a continuation to the upside. This is the monthly chart. You can see it here that we could be breaking through this 66 plus level and continue higher. So we'll be watching that definitely. So that's crude oil up 583%. And we're going to metal. Silver had a nice pop here on Friday, and the whole week was pretty much strong. We are facing the 50-day moving average resistance here. Silver up 562%, 5.62. Wheat, finally, we had a breakout. Wheat has been trading at these levels for a long time, up and downs, collecting energy, right? And now we had a second consecutive week to the upside on growing volume. Let's see on the monthly chart. We could be actually seeing continuation. This is the second month to the upside. So wheat up 483. Back to metals, platinum had a positive week. This drop over here. We're still trading at the bottom of this range. And platinum up 476. Let's see daily chart here. We are trading between 100 and the 50-day moving average here. Another one from energy, gasoline as well. It looks similar to what we saw in oil. You would see the big cup and a holder here, and we're trying to break through to the upside. Let's see approximate level here. From November 14, the high was 202. We're playing with that number again now. So that's gasoline up 4.5%. Back to metals again, 4.5% on palladium, holding that 100-day moving average, trying to approach the 50-day moving average here. Sugar. Remember, we were joking about sugar. There may be people are more conscious about healthy eating, and sugar has been selling a lot. And this week, actually, we start bouncing here. So sugar was up to 82. Let's see if we draw this support here. We traded below, came right back, and then we had a nice move on Friday. So we could be looking to some kind of upside move here. And our first test would be probably a 50-day moving average here. And if we dive below the 14 again, we might be coming to retest the recent low. That's sugar and cotton as well. It's been selling a lot straight down, making a higher low here and a higher high. So also it could be potentially a reversal here. As you could see, there was a lot of accumulation here. And if this down move will fail and we bounce higher, all these sellers could be running and covering their short position. Just my thinking aloud. So let's see if that happens on corn. Nice move to the upside. Now, cocoa is continue sliding here. It's really, really selling. If you remember, we said a while ago, if it did break this level, 64.25, we could be continuing lower. And then this was a beautiful trade here, right? When it went lower, we retested, fake breakout, retested again. And of course, it's easy to kind of describe things in the past, right? But nevertheless, we've been sliding lower here. This is the monthly chart. We could be coming to this base over here. You could see the fall has been very, very strong here. Let's see if it looks stronger than where the really rapid move to the upside. We peaked here December of 2024. Then we moved lower, made a lower high, and since then, pretty much, except 1 month here, which was positive, in December of last year, we had every single month was a sell-off on cocoa. And just to remind us, all this move happened. There's a lot of excitement of shortage of cocoa beans in West Africa. So Friday we had a little bit pop here, but let's see what happens. So cocoa is selling, coffee is selling as well. Coffee is actually, I think we spoke about it, is sitting on a very important strategic level here. We had a low of 277.15 back on the week of July or on June, right? And now we back to that level. We rejected that this past week. So we could be speculating that we reached the support around 277. As you could see on Thursday, the recovery was very nice here. Friday, we actually tried to move higher, but closed lower. And it looks like we almost had the flat 3 days over here, right? So we definitely want to watch coffee on a possible move in the upside direction. And we spoke about Bitcoin. Bitcoin down 1.47%. Well, we'll take a look at it, as we said, for dessert when we get to the cryptos. Now, moving to Forex, you go, dollar index is really grabbing into that 50-day moving average. We tried 2 consecutive days to break this previous resistance here, 97.85, and both days we came right back down. So this is our struggle as of now, sitting on the 50-day moving average. If we wanted to move higher, we need a closing above this price, about 97.85, and the longer we fail to break the level, the buyers could get tired and the sellers could get excited. We might push it lower, as you could see here. But pretty much a nice recovery from the lows of January 27 here. We made a move to the upside. We made a higher low, but we still haven't established a higher high. And for that, we need the closing above this 97.85 level. So, of course, euro dollar is just a mirror image in a way. We made just upside down chart, right? We made a lower high. We just need to make a lower low here. Pound is remaining weak here, sitting around 200-day moving average here. Aussie dollar, very strong. Had a nice move, nice corrections here, and we're looking for possible continuation to the upside. We are facing this resistance here from February of 2023. That's 3 years time it took for us to come to this level. New Zealand dollar, not as strong. We had the resistance, as we spoke about a few times, 0.6070 around here. It's our resistance and support, 0.5926. We had the golden cross here happen a while ago. So it looks that it's trying to move to the upside, but until we break this level here, 0.6070, it's going to be hard. Dollar Swiss, similar situation as we saw in the dollar index. We made a higher low, but we haven't made a higher high yet. USD CAD, we had similar situation here as well, trading below 50-day moving average here. You see, even with the strong oil, CAD is not really running into that super strong situation here. So as you can see, US dollar is remaining strong against the Canadian dollar, even though we had a nice move on the oil. So correlation between the CAD and the crude oil is getting a little bit weaker, let's put it that way. Dollar yen. As we said, yen had a nice move of a strength against all the markets, and this week actually we had a reversal, including against the US dollar here. So if you take a look at yen, pound is kind of weak, right? Maybe that's helping also, as we said, to UK FTSE making all-time highs, because the pound is really sitting here against all the currencies. It's showing a lot of weakness. Now, here's your Australian yen. As we said, last week we had a nice sell-off against the yen. Yen was strong, and this week we had a reversal across the board. A Canadian dollar, same situation. Swiss, the same situation. Euro and New Zealand dollar, not so much, kind of flat here. So this past week, yen had a correction from the previous week's strength, and let's see how this week will play for yen. Let's also see the USD Norwegian. As we said, Norway also is a producer of oil, right? So dollar is remaining weak against the NOK as the oil remains strong. All right, so that's Forex. And let's take a quick look at the cryptos. So as we said, Bitcoin futures were down almost 1.5%, 1.47% for the week. So chronology here, we moved lower here, beginning of February. This was a big drop here, February 5th. February 6th, we had a bounce back to below 70. Currently, we're trading at 68,000 here. So if you simply apply logic, this is our recent low, 59,942, around 60,000 roughly. And the high of this day, which was on the 6th of February, the high was 71,656. Let's adjust a little bit. Somewhere here. So these are our levels. We're closer to the top. We are trying. We are holding, but not really rushing to the upside, right? So we try to make higher highs here, higher lows here, but we need a higher high for that turnaround and moving higher. So far, that hasn't happened. So roughly, we're trading between 60,000 and 71,000 here. and we are at 68,000 as of now. XRP, too many lines, I don't know where they're coming from. Let me just remove all this stuff. All right, so similar situation here on the 5th, where the sell-off, very next day we recovered, and situation here is looking much better. We actually tried already breaking through that pre-fall level, right? We had a nice spike here on the 15th of February, a little Valentine's Day present, and we came back. So far, we are holding these levels here around 134, 133, currently trading at 141. So what we did here actually tried to do the high. So XRP or Ripple looks better technically than the Bitcoin, right? Let's take a look at Ethereum as well. Ethereum is just sitting here around 1914, right? Trading 1974. We are holding this 1914 level. Lots of attempts to break lower. So out of three, if you take Bitcoin, XRP, and Ethereum, XRP looks much stronger technically at current levels. All right, so let's just summarize things. As we said, it's all about I wouldn't say the cancellation, but an issue with tariffs was brought by Supreme Court, and with the votes 6-3, they actually slammed those decisions. And Trump is not giving up. He just announced more tariffs. The concern is pretty big out there. What's going to happen? Are there going to be refunds? We don't know yet. We have a huge buildup around Iran, with huge military presence of United States ready to go in. So things are not so peaceful, let's put it that way. So we probably hear more things this week, and hopefully it's going to be, less chaos that we could face. And we have few things that we said from economic calendar. We have few speeches of ECB Bank President Christine Lagarde, and we have Trump's speech on Wednesday, which is going to be watched by a lot of people and analysts and traders, of course. And it's going to be an interesting week. And we're also entering March. No, actually, no, this is still February, right? Short month anyway. And the PPI numbers are important as far as the numbers for this week. So winners and losers, we went through them. What usually happens, not usually, sometimes we see the reversals if the numbers are huge. And in some cases, we have continuation, as we saw in cocoa. A few weeks we've been selling here, right? So I want to wish everyone a good the rest of the weekend. Enjoy yourself. Spend quality time with your families, and prepare yourself for the upcoming intense week. Have a plan, and have a wonderful and profitable week. All the best.